Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we'll be doing some tones and shadows in a face. So we'll first begin by putting down an oval quickly. So I'm going to make this easy and have the face looking that way. And in that way we will be able to cover more with a lesser effort, just to save time. So I'm just putting down a random face right there. You could Google any face and it will come up with many different choices. So it's the same principle: lips, nose, eyes, somewhere around there. And well, some people probably have a higher forehead, so then the placement will differ. But right here I'm putting down a quick generic face so that we can just play around with some shadows. And he's looking that way, so I have to bring that chin in a little bit. Okay, so we have some kind of structure coming about. Extend that chin a little bit. Some typical lines to Alright, and you could give it as many details as you want. You could perhaps like model this on someone, but again, for a core and quick practice, just need some fairly common elements in place to work with. So we got a somewhat of a generic face going there. Now, when we're working with these shadows that we want to throw in here, you're going to essentially do a just like tone, and the light source is coming from the back there, and it's falling against the face right here. So immediately certain aspects which are away from the light fall in shadow, but since the face pretty much has all rounded corners, mostly they're all like rounded features, we'll put in our typical tones, such as the tones that are commonly put around the bulges. So heavier tones right here and right under the nose, and then fading inward as we move toward the source of the light. So I have concentrated the shadows right around every corner. Let's say just right against this hairline, there's mostly an immediate small shadow thrown right in the ear. And then depending on what you want to do with the face itself, so right around the bulge there, and then more intense right around that vein, and then some tone right through that bulge, intense again as we are away from the light. Now, one thing that we always do is, and it's highly recommended practice, use a set of pencils. Set means that I'm just using a 2B right here. Well, part of that is because I want you good folks to quickly go back to your work, or go back to doing your own face. And I know that you will do a tremendous job with it, but I'm just going about it quickly so that we can just discuss the very core elements of putting down the shadows and tones to bring about the facial structures. So again, around the bulges, around the veins, it will all depend of how indented they are, how dark it will be. And it'll be different for pretty much every person. You will see that the musculature, the anatomy, the facial structure, the beauty of it varies from person to person to person, and you can work with so much. But when we come to a generic face, this is pretty much the core practice that we can utilize in terms of highlighting the features through tones and shadows. And as you see that around every let's say skin fold and face lines, you can work with shadows. So leaving a bit illuminated right here, because faces are round, I didn't leave that. It's up to you. You could just make it like, it depends on the light source as well. If it's very dark, then yes, darker tones will prevail and make it come out like that much. Again, if you're in a project work, do not smudge. Just use your crosshatch lines, but otherwise, if you are just doing a quick practice or want to, and as you see that I am spreading it right along the facial features right there. So just quick practice to getting some of this done. And I'm putting in some shadows right there. So some things just blend in, and others you could continue to highlight as you go in and keep adding that little bit of crosshatch here and there, and you'll see that it will really come out and do some good and do a very good create a very good impression in the final sketch that you're trying to portray.